Hey there, sales leaders. Recruiting the right salespeople is becoming increasingly more difficult. However, it can make all of the difference in the world. So, today I'm going to share with you some key tips and strategies that I've personally used in recruiting well over 1,800 salespeople in my career. Interviewing for sales roles is unique because you need to not only find candidates who are skilled, but who can also be persuasive and fit in with your company culture. So watch this video for some very practical tips on how to recruit salespeople. First, you need to clearly define your ideal candidate profile. This is one of the most often overlooked things when sales managers know that they need to hire and they just put out an ad and they check for anybody who applies, not understanding the unique differences between the personality styles of selling. For example, are you looking for a hunter who can aggressively chase new business? Or are you actually better off if you find a personality trait of a farmer? One who can work through your existing accounts and work on upselling, cross-selling, or maybe even getting referrals. The biggest mistake sales managers tend to make when recruiting salespeople is they put a hunter in a farmer role and a farmer in a hunting role. For more information on that, just DM me and I can send you a complete guide on what you should be looking for and what works better with your organization. The second step in recruiting salespeople is to prepare something called a behavioral question. These questions help you understand how candidates have handled similar situations in the past, which is often a good indicator of future performance. For example, in the interview, you wouldn't just want to ask them about their resume and how long they've worked somewhere and what their percentage to quota is. But you might want to say, what objection did you experience most in your career? And if they say, at my last company, price was a huge objection that we had to overcome, ask them, based on the research you might have done looking at our website, if I were to tell you that our price is too high, how would you overcome that? Literally ask them how they would overcome objections in the interview and role practice with them, which brings me to my next tip. Please, sales managers, we live in an era right now where if you say the words, we're going to role play a sales scenario, salespeople's brains get triggered. See, in our bodies, we have something called an autonomic nervous system. And this autonomic nervous system responds when we experience stress and we don't work at our most optimal way. So instead of encouraging your team to role play sales scenarios and doing this in the interview, first call it role practice. And the more you practice, let them know we're just doing this to get our reps in. Best athletes, they don't only practice on game day. No, they've been practicing months, sometimes years in advance to get to be on the field. But for some reason in sales, we think we don't need to practice at all. We can just practice with the customers or the prospects. And that's just not the case. The next tip I want to give you today in recruiting for sales people is to look for those personalities who are coachable. 87% of salespeople right now can't cut it with most organizations because they lack the temperament and the coachability. Meaning, when a manager gives feedback, they get defensive, they get fearful of the next time, they're unable to articulate why it was that they made that decision, and it starts to create a negative feedback loop, ultimately affecting the organization's culture. So in the interview, look for people who can take feedback and maybe perhaps even ask them, hey, what was an example of some feedback a previous manager gave you that you disagreed with? And how did you handle it? I hope these interview tips have been very helpful for you. Go ahead, like, share, put your best tips in the comments below, and I will see you on the next video. Happy selling.